All right, how we doing? It's currently raining out. It's pretty gloomy, and for whatever reason, this type of weather, it just drives thoughts into my brain. It boosts my creative cells. And I've got nobody in this fucking place to share those thoughts with, so I figured I might as well get my camera out and talk to you guys. And I know you've already seen the title, so before you crash out on me, before you crash out, let me explain. I know that trading is a coin flip is a very blunt statement to make, but I promise it will make sense after I explain this. The reason I want to talk about this is because I've seen a lot of people in my Discord recently self-sabotaging their profitable system. A system that they've backtested, a system that they have data on, a system that is proven to work over time. They're self-sabotaging it due to human errors rather than statistical errors. And when I say trading is a coin flip, I want you to interpret that as I want you to think as trading is a coin flip, okay? And the analogy we're gonna use is obviously with a coin flip, you have a 50-50 chance. 50% chance you land on heads, 50% chance you land on tails. But what if I gave you a coin and on one side of that coin, there was a little bit of glue, okay? You would wanna bet that the other side's gonna be facing up. Because if we throw a coin in the air, more times than not, the side with a little bit of glue on it is gonna stick to the floor. And we're not doing no flip it over on your wrist, none of that bullshit. That's gay. No, nobody does that. I hope you don't do that. But let's say for this instance, on the coin I gave you, the side that has the little bit of glue on it, it's tails. So you would bet that most of the time the tail side is gonna stick to the floor because of the glue, and you're gonna wanna bet on heads. 70% of the time, that coin is going to land on heads. Think of this like you're trading. Me personally, I trade continuations. I have a pretty high win rate system, somewhere around that 65 to 85%, depending on the time of year, depending on market conditions, but we'll say 70% for the sake of video. So if you flipped that coin, and the first time you flipped it, it had tails facing up, so you lost the flip, would you get mad about that? Would you get upset? Would you be like, damn, I just lost. I took a big fat L. I'm a loser. No, you wouldn't. Because you know, if you flip that coin 10 times doing the exact same thing you're doing, 7 out of 10 times, it's going to land on heads. And in the end, you will be, I almost said profitable, but in the end, you will have predicted it 70% of the time. So in trading, it's funny because people will take a loss with their system, which is a statistical loss. If you have the patience and the discipline to wait for A+ setups, statistical losses are part of the game. Losses are inevitable, and if you trade like me, they're gonna happen roughly 30% of the time. So if that's the case, if you took a loss and then you took another trade that was an A+ setup, everything looked great to you, would you throw that coin up in the air and then fucking catch it halfway before it hits the ground? No, you wouldn't. You would throw the coin up in the air, let it hit the ground, and more than likely it lands on heads. What a lot of you guys are doing is you're taking a loss on the market, and then going into the next trade, you're scared. You're like, shit, I can't lose twice. Like, now I'm nervous. And so what you'll do is you'll take the trade, and then you'll go break even 5 or 10 points past your entry. Like, the fuck do you think's gonna happen? Of course, the trade is gonna stop you at break even, and then more than likely go in your favor and hit take profit. I don't understand why people, actually no, hold on. I do understand why people do that. People are scared of losing, but you need to get that shit out of your head. You need to forget about that shit. Because if you can't accept a loss and take a loss, then this is not the profession for you. You need to go do some other shit. Go work at McDonald's, go work at Burger King. I don't give a fuck. If you can't accept a loss, this is the wrong playing field for you, my friend. You have to understand that your stop loss is in its place for a reason. For your trade to play out, you need to give it room to breathe. And as long as you're waiting for these A+ setups and your stop loss is in a spot where it's actually supposed to be, then more times than not, your trade is going to hit. There's gonna be slower times in the market. You're gonna have times where you do take 2 or 3 losses in a row, and it sucks. But there's also gonna be times where you take 5, 6, 7, 8 wins in a row. Don't think about the next 5 trades. Think about the next 20 or 30 trades. When you start thinking like that, it becomes a lot easier to just let your trade do its thing. And trust me, in my system, I have certain criteria for when I do set my stop at break even. Like if price is edging my take profit, or if we have some SMT, whatever, and it makes sense for me to go break even, then of course I'm going to follow my rules and do that. But I see so many people exiting positions way too early, setting stops at break even way too early, tightening their stop loss. Just like, dude, let your fucking trade do its thing. If you're sitting there constantly managing it, how do you expect that system to perform over time? You are literally cutting in to the statistical advantage of your system. Like I said, going back to the coin flip, with the coin, are you going to start tossing it a different way if you take a loss? Are you going to throw it at the ground? Are you going to try to bounce it off your hand once it's a third of the way to the ground? No, you're not going to do any of this shit. You're going to throw the coin and whatever happens, happens. And that's the same thing with trading. And as long as you are waiting for those A-plus setups that you know work out time and time and time and again, then you need to just let your trade do its thing. Give the trade room to breathe. And like I said, there is going to be times where as a profitable trader, you're going to take multiple losses in a row. 2, 3, 4 losses. It's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point. That is inevitable. So if you really want to think about it, you can think about it as each funded account you get is a 70% chance of you getting the payout versus not getting the payout. I still blow funded accounts to this day, and I'm very honest with you guys about it when I do, but that's because I understand that as long as I just continue to build good habits, do exactly what I'm supposed to do every single day, I know that in the long run, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, I know that I will come out green because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and I'm following a statistical edge that I know for a fact works. And I don't care how good a setup looks. I don't care how many confluences you have that are supporting your bias. I don't give a shit. That trade at the end of the day is a coin flip. More than likely will it hit? Yes, but there is also a chance that it doesn't hit. And regardless of how good it looks, you have to accept that it could be a losing trade. And you can't get mad about the outcome. You have to realize if you keep just implying the same system, the same habits, taking A-plus trades, that over time, the wins are heavily gonna outweigh the losses. And that's how you make it long-term in this game. And trust me when I tell you, I understand that being in drawdown sucks. Nobody likes being in drawdown. Your heart might start racing a little bit. You're like, shit, this is probably gonna stop me out. But part of your profitable statistic is gonna be some of those trades that spend a lot of time in drawdown and then eventually go to your take profit. Like that's going to happen. And you have to be totally comfortable just sitting there, accepting it. But that is why you put your stop loss in the place it's at. There's a reason behind that. It's not just, we don't just put the stop loss at pivot highs and pivot lows for shits and giggles. No, it's there for a reason because we don't expect every single trade to flush to take profit. We know that trades need some room to breathe. So if we have our stop loss at a point in price where it should not invalidate the trade, then why are you freaking out? The trade might come close to your stop loss. Oh, fucking well. Let the trade do its thing. Because the minute you start closing trades early, trailing stops, that is when you mess up everything. And then long term, your system, it's not a system anymore. One of the biggest turning points in my trading career is when I finally learned to just let my trade play out and do its thing. As you get more advanced, as you get more experience, then you can start understanding when it's okay to manage a position, when it's okay to not. But if you're still in those beginner stages or not quite at that consistent profitability level, you need to start letting your trade play out. Having emotions is fine. You can have emotions as long as you don't take them out on the chart. Go crank out some push-ups, go for a run, do some other shit while your trade's playing out. But do not mess with the trade unless you absolutely have to and it makes complete logical sense to manage the position. I guarantee if you adopt this mindset that this will help you out so much more than you know, and you'll finally get to feel what peaceful trading is really like. And as always, I have the link to join my free Discord that's gonna be in the description of this video. I preach good habits in there all the time. I post my bias every single morning, the draw and liquidity, exactly what I'm looking for. I review any trades that you guys send in there, and it's all completely free. So definitely go join up. The community would love to have you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.